thank God we had a cookout on 9/11, you know. My job is very nice and genuine, and they decided to do some burgers and hot dogs for the greatest day of... I'm sorry. 9/11. That's what happens today. That's what today is going. There's 30 more minutes left of it and everything like that. You know, when I was a kid, we were going through school and everything like that. It was a big joke. It's a huge little meme. Those towers falling and everything like that. I know I mentioned some in my renty videos the other day about it, but you know, as I got older and as I started taking more account, I used to laugh in class when they would show us videos, like that video of the guy calling his wife for the last time. I have a clip on my Snapchat somewhere of me just laughing at it. I don't know why. I don't know what it was over me, but I do know why. I was an offensive, dark-humored piece of shit cuntbag who was a teenager going through puberty in high school, and I thought the fucking most heinous shit was funny. I still do think it's kind of funny. There are still jokes to be had about tragedy. That is true, you know. But I feel like in order to make jokes about tragedy, you need to understand first that it was a tragedy, that there was bad things that happened. You need to. There's a thin line with comedy, right, where you can get away with something and then you can't get away with stuff, you know. So this video might crash and burn, but who knows? We watched a video today in my AA class, because it was on 9/11, so he themed it. And Jack's a very good dude. He cares about all people. He wants everyone to just get better. The way he treats addicts is above all else. I've never seen a man treat addicts or treat people with problems like this with respect like he has. He's a great man, and I cannot sing his praises enough. Maybe one day I will, because he's a great man and he knows a lot of things. And honestly, he's sort of like I wouldn't say idol, but like I don't know, someone to look up to. He really is. He's a good dude. But he showed us this video about 9/11. I don't know if many of you know this. There was actually a camera crew that recorded everything that happened inside that first tower. I think it was the North Tower. Maybe it was it was the South, because the South one fell first. They recorded everything that happened in the South Tower. I forget the names. Names are hard for me to remember. But they didn't go to record 9/11. That wasn't their goal. They had no idea it was going to happen, obviously. No one knew it was going to happen. You see it in the footage. It's kind of fucking crazy. It's insane. I don't know what the documentary is called. You can easily find it, though. It's probably the most famous documentary about 9/11. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet, but he showed us the first hour of it, and God, if it wasn't just impactful. There was just so much to see and learn that I didn't even know, and I literally was like, I was almost tearing up when I was hearing things. A lot of you have seen clips, I think, from the documentary. There's that one where they're running up the stairs and then everything's falling around them, and then they literally, like, in the dock, the tower crashes while they're inside of it, like while they're recording. So the documentary crew, I should explain, they weren't out to record 9/11. It just so happened that the events unfolded the way that they did. They were actually out there to record probies, or fire departments, or whatever. A probie is what you call someone in their probation period that's going into the fire department. Then in New York, there was a lot of fire departments. I don't know if you know about New York. New York's a big fucking place. Fires, police, crime happens there all the fucking time. There's a lot of them there. So they were following one man in particular. I think his name was Tony. One young buck, you know, he just wanted to help people. He just wanted to put out fires, and he wanted to be a hero. That's all. And he had a very good heart about it, and he was very good at his job, and he stuck with it. And he went through all the hazing and everything like that, but he did it with a smile, and you could see that he genuinely just wanted to help people. He wanted to be out there stopping the fires and just being a source of good, you know. Well, they follow him throughout his 3 months, I think, of his probation period. The probation periods are 9 months, but they follow him throughout of it. And obviously, during this time, they hit the towers. They capture the one clear footage of the plane going and hitting the South Tower. That was from the documentary crew. The way they set it up is they were reading gas lines in the New York City, in like the New York subway and everything. They were reading gas lines, trying to find. It was like I think it was not acid gas, but like just bad gas coming from it or whatever, just so that in case something bad happened. I think that's CO2 or whatever. And as they're doing this, they hear a plane fly over. And the guy in the documentary, one of the firemen say, now in New York that's really weird, you never hear the planes fly over. So if you hear one, it's a bit suspect. So you see, literally, as 9/11 starts, you see the beginning of it. Like, you see just the precipice of the tragedy. And it's not morbidly... Well, okay, no, it is. It's morbidly interesting. I wasn't alive when it happened. I was born a year after 9/11 happened. I think that has a lot to do with why comedy with it is subjective. I feel like if you were there and you were alive when it actually happened, you care more about it. You take more into account of the respect part of it. And if you don't, you're like me and a bunch of other asshole kids, and we just, make fun of the towers that used to be there, But I have recently, and I've watched a bunch of documentaries and videos, and I watched this whole there was like an 8-hour-long iceberg video. Probably wasn't 8 hours. It was probably like whatever. But this guy made a long iceberg video about everything that had to do with it. And I just learned a bunch about the conspiracies and everything like that. But I mostly always just cared about the fact that after it happened, it didn't matter who you were, what you looked like, what your occupation was, how much money you had. Everyone cared about one thing. We all took one thing, and it hurt everybody. And we didn't fight over it. We didn't argue over it. We just simply felt bad. And that's the point that Jack was making. He was like, we don't do that anymore. We don't come together when a tragedy happens and just, respect it. We treat it as a divisive thing. We try to find every reason why it's somebody else's fault, why this, that, and the third did this, and why they had to die because of their beliefs or whatever like that. That's not how it works. And the documentary does a really good job of showing you this. So yeah, as they're doing the gas thing, you hear a plane fly over. And you see as the plane hits the tower and just goes right into it instantly. Everyone is on high alert. The chief that was there with them, firemen, that they rush over to the Twin Towers, and they sit there and they try their hardest to get to work. And I had to say, a lot of it looks like they're standing around doing nothing, like just sitting in the lobby. But other than that, what can they do? There's a couple staircases. There's over 100 floors. The elevators aren't working. There's not much for them to do except them send people up the stairs and try to get them out. And that's what they were doing, but the documentary doesn't show that, obviously, because they're not following the people up the stairs. It was, luckily enough, the guy with the camera was even allowed in the building with the chief. The chiefs told him, you stay right with me. Do not fucking move. And this was at the time when they didn't even know it was a hijacking yet. They thought it was just a crashed plane. They thought it was a malfunction and whatever. I don't think they find out it was a hijacking until the second plane hits the tower. Because that's when the third one had the people on it that were fighting back. Which, if you know, there was a plane that fought back on 9/11. There was people in it, and that's the one that was going towards the Pentagon, I think, and it didn't hit it. It hit in PA because they crash landed it because a bunch of people got together, and that's where that phone call that I laughed at. That's where that phone call comes from. That guy was calling his wife, and he was telling her, "Hey, they hijacked the plane. We're gonna go fight them, and we're not gonna let them do it." They stood their fucking ground as Americans, and they stopped that fucking plane from causing more havoc. They didn't even know where it was going. They didn't know if they were going to survive. They didn't know anything. All they knew was there's terrorists, they hijacked the plane, and they needed to stop it, and they fucking did. So we get to the towers, and it's just a horrific scene. As one of the camera guys is with the firemen in the towers. The other one is with Tony at the base, he's being forced to stay at the base because he's the only fireman left, and he has to run all the calls. The radios are popping off. There's so many things going in. And you can see the agony in his face as he stares at the television. And he looks at it, just imagining that this has to be fake, that this can't be real. And he's talking to those other people that just show up, like the nighttime people that just, that got called in and whatever. He's telling him, he's like, this fucking sucks. We have to do something. And he wants to do something, but he can't because he's not allowed to until another chief gets there and he sees him and he's like, you know what, get the fuck out. We're fucking going. And then that's when the other camera guy, so the other camera guy's with Tony, he starts to walk around the street and he pans over to the people. Black people, Asian people, that's just Asian, but it's Chinese, Japanese, Korean, white people, Mexicans, all of them on the street staring at that tower, just looking at it in awe. And then they're all talking to each other too about what's happening, about what tower, what plane hit what tower, how many planes there were, what's going on, what are they going to do, how are they going to get out. There's people worried about the people up there in the towers and everything like that. And it's so bizarre to see now that's what we were. That's what happened when things went bad. That was a normal thing for people to just forget their grievances and forget their biases and just be like, damn, what the fuck are we gonna do? Like, we all need to do something. And it was just very enlightening. And I just, I don't really know exactly what I've really, my past recent videos that have been current, that I haven't just, like, had in the background, that have been years that I've probably uploaded. I know I've not been making a lot of sense. I know I've been kind of speaking on my ass and talking about things I don't really know about, and speaking metaphorically and whatever, but I have a lot of feelings, I don't really know how to portray them correctly, so I just ramble and hope that something along the lines makes sense. I hope something here was ever, but I just want 9/11 is it's a crazy fucking thing that happened. But we came together as a society when we took that motherfucker down, the Osama dude. We got that motherfucker. But it was just crazy to see the documentary, and then you see other clips in it, and you hear the bodies falling at one point, and that's just sickening. It was fucking grotesque that you hear glass shatter, and then you hear a big thump, and the camera guy just says, "We knew what that was. That wasn't debris. Those were bodies that were falling on the ground." And we didn't get to finish documentary. There's still an hour left of it, but I imagine the last hour is much more in depth with the towers falling and then picking people out of the rubble, because we ended it right when the tower collapsed and everything like that. But there is footage. There is real documented footage of what happened that day and the things that happened. And I encourage anyone and everybody, even if you think it's funny, even if you think it's a joke and you just want to, you don't really care that much about it, look for this documentary and watch it. It is one of the staples of our nation. And I know I say, I'm a fucking American, okay? Maybe I haven't really felt like it, and I haven't really liked being called that recently due to, a lot of stuff, but I am a fucking American. And that was my fucking America. Maybe I wasn't born for it. Maybe I wasn't a part of it, but my family was. They were. They saw that shit happen. They've talked to me about it. They've talked to me about their feelings, their thoughts, where they were, what was going through their fucking head, and all their emotions and everything. And I've heard about it, and I've taken that in. And I've morphed it with myself, and I feel bad that 9/11 happened. That's a wild thing to say. I feel bad that the fucking towers fell, Mostly I feel bad that for so long I never took into account the actual realism and the stuff that actually happened. But I have now. Like I said, I encourage anyone, please go check it out. It's a fantastic thing to watch. I think everyone should. Not only does it showcase the tragedy that happened, that I think it would be beneficial for us to learn about, it just showcases how even amongst tragedies, and even amongst desperation and depression, and sort of that, as long as, we can put away our biases, and we can throw away little things that make us hate each other, we can fucking come together and, care about people. We can do it. It's proven. We've proven that. We haven't done it in a while. But we've proven that we can. Maybe it was years ago. I don't fucking give a shit. That right there was powerful. What happened right then is amazing. Like, maybe not the towers falling. That wasn't that cool. But what happened that day and the way people reacted, that is fantastic, I think. And I think that is a big indicator of how humans can actually be. How we can come together and we can be friendly with each other and just all worry about the same issue, as long as it's affecting all of us. And a lot of issues are affecting all of us, but we just think about them in different ways, Everything's so divisive now. Everything's so nuanced and everything like that. But I just think it showed that it just didn't matter. No matter what, I think I have hope for humanity. I've always told people that. I have one thing that a lot of people don't have anymore. That's hope. I care about humanity. I'm not dumb to think world peace is achievable. No, there's no way. No one's ever going to be fully peaceful with one another. But I always had this vision that you could learn to live with that. You could learn to live with disagreement. It's not that hard. If you don't like what somebody's doing, you just tell them. And you don't have to always be friends with people. It's not hard. So I've always had hope for humanity and stuff like that. What's the word? Reassures that hope. It revigorates it. And I hope that one day we can come back and do something like that again. We can come together and be good. But that was my video about 9/11. I don't know if maybe I did this before. I don't know, but that was my video about 9/11. I have to go back into work now. I was supposed to eat a burger and like talk the whole time, like act like I was whatever. But then I got real sentimental, real weird. I'm sorry that I've been like this for the past couple days and everything. Just a lot of stuff's been happening. I know the content's been shifts a bit different from what people, because I know the jail video blew up, and that's where a lot of you probably coming from. You're supposed to say goofy guy, guy that was in jail, talk about all that, but it's not who I am. That was a video that I was talking about that thing that happened at that time, and I was in that mood and that thing. It's not. I'm a guy, dude. This is basically just like a video journal thing for me. Essentially, this is just essentially for me a place for me to go out and just say my random thoughts. Because if I sit here and I let them get in my head, I sort of explode, and then Delta gets real mad at me because I don't run the diagnostic at time, and then there's so many people just keep talking and they just get really annoying. So I find it easier just to talk to a camera instead, you know. And that's just what I've done. This is like a video journal for me. So if I don't make any sense, I don't care. I don't watch these back, really, unless it's the ones I do with my buddies or anything. But I don't really watch these back. I mostly make these for other people that I know. You know, some of my buddies that I know watch them and everything like that. And you know, I care a lot about that when they come up these days. But you know, I mostly just keep this going for like a journal thing. You know, just get my thoughts out there. But thank you for listening if you did. I really appreciate it. I haven't done this outro in a long time, actually. I just realized that. Thank you for listening if you did. I really appreciate it. I hope you had fun watching it if you did. And if you did, leave a comment. You know, like I said, go check out that 9/11 documentary if you can. It'd be awesome. And yeah, have a good day.